Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Focus with Tim Thomas. We're glad you've joined us for what I think is a very special edition of Focus. And we want to, first of all, welcome you to our program, encourage you to call someone, let them know that Focus is on the air. I am joined by some mighty men throughout the state of Kentucky, and there's a saying that says, never has so many great minds been gathered together since Thomas Jefferson died alone. So we have some great minds here to talk today, and we're talking about the state NAACP that is going to be convening here in the city of Madisonville, Kentucky, in the community of Hopkins County, September the 21st through September the 23rd. And with these gentlemen are going to be talking about what's going to be taking place during that event. We want to thank our sponsors of the program, the City of Madisonville and First United Bank, for their support of this program. Joining me, I'm going to start here from my left and your right, is none other than the state president of the NAACP out of Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Ralph Cunningham. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Next to him here is my good friend John J. Johnson, who is the executive director of the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome, John.
Thank you. So good to be with you, Tim.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. And of course, certainly glad to have with us the Honorable Mayor of the City of Madisonville, the Honorable David Jackson.
Thank you, Tim. Good to be here with you.
Good to have you. Next to him is the president of the Madisonville Hopkins County NAACP, Mr. Tim Wipsel.
Thank you, Tim.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. And past president and now first vice president of the Madisonville Hopkins County NAACP, Bishop Raymond Berrien.
Glad to be with you.
Glad to have you, Bishop. And we're here to talk about this great event that is going to be taking place in Madisonville. We're going to be talking about C.C. Winans, who is going to be headlining on September the 21st. Before we do that, Mayor, it's been a great run when we talk about all the accomplishments that has been made in the African American community through your tenure as mayor.
Well, I tell you what, one of the things that when I first came into office, we formed the Minority Economic Development Council, and we really tried to put a lot of emphasis on minority issues. I really don't feel like we're going to move forward as a community unless everyone moves forward. And so that's been my hope and my heart and my goal, and maybe we've chipped away at it a little bit and gained some ground that somebody else can come and build on after me. I hope they'll continue that.
Right, and when we talk about building relationships, building bridges, it takes a collaborative effort.
Oh yes, that's exactly right. And the state NAACP conference, this is the second year we've had the honor of hosting that, and the President Ralph Cunningham is a great friend and a dear friend, not only to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but to Madisonville especially, and so we really appreciate them allowing us to be the host city for this great conference, and to have all these wonderful folks come back to Madisonville for the second time in a row. And we wanted to go out with a bang. We wanted to have C.C. Winans come and sing, and so I think it's a very fitting part of the overall conference that they're putting on, and so we're excited about that.
Absolutely. When we talk about Mr. Ralph and Mr. John, when we talk about the NAACP, where we find ourselves in this present age, and we're talking about nationally, on a national level, and in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, a lot of issues that we still face. Ralph?
The issues are still there.
Yeah.
And we're appreciative to the city of Madisonville for one, inviting us to come back. I think when you look at the NAACP, we are unique in terms of our structure, that we fight for equality on the national level, with our Washington Bureau being in the capital, state level, with the state conference, and with our 20-some branches at the local level. So we can combat discrimination on all three levels, and that is important. And that is what we will be focusing on at this convention, unity
Mm.
being the theme, starting out Friday night with CC Winans concert and all day on Saturday.
Right. And John, unity is much needed. When we look at the times that we're living in, when we're looking at civil rights, and we know that all of you gentlemen have been staunch supporters of civil rights down through the years on the state and national level. John, you haven't served in the national NAACP as well. The climate that we're living in, where are we? Where can we go from here to hopefully bridge the divide that we now see ourselves in?
Well, Tim, again, thank you for having me. As you raise that question, it comes to me, I look at your mayor and I congratulate him for his years of service, leadership in this city. I look at Bishop Marion, also served on your city council here for a number of years. If you look at the unity between those two individuals as examples, what we see right here in Madisonville is an example for the whole nation, the whole world for that matter, to emulate the idea that people don't always have to agree on every issue, to get along, to work together, to be concerned with building a society where equality flourishes in our nation and in our state. Obviously, there are still disproportionate issues of race. If you look at the gap in our education systems, you look at minority business development, your mayor talked about economic growth. You look at housing discrimination, still about every city in this state you can go through and look at the black community and the white community. By and large, we still live in segregated communities. All of these are examples of issues that we still have to address, but they can only be addressed effectively by leadership of people like the two people we reference here. Raul and I have been around a long time, and we've seen a lot of changes. We would be foolish not to say that the world hasn't changed for the better, that our nation, that our state hasn't improved, but that doesn't mean that we still have a long way to go, and I talk too much.
You're fine. You're fine. We do have a long way to go, and Bishop, when we reach out to various sectors of this community, the struggle continues, and I know you've been fighting this fight a while. Where do you see us as a community now?
I personally, I've told people this, I've lived in Madisonville since 1980, and I've sat through every mayor that has been in this city. Of course, some of the mayors made some changes, but by far, Mayor Jackson has done more to make the black community inclusive into the whole city. And that's one of the reasons that he and I have such a close relationship, is because I see his heart on doing that. And the thing about it is, it's not something that's impossible to do. You just have you have to have a willingness to do it. The one thing that I see a lot of times is people have a misconception about the NAACP. One thing that people need to know that basically some of the early starters of the NAACP were white people. And one of them was from Louisville, Mr. English, that started the NAACP. He, if I make no mistake, he was the first one to send out a letter to everybody together, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
And so it's a collective effort of everybody trying to bring about unity in the state.
It really is. It really is. And there is that need. There is that need to continue to break down those barriers that continue to haunt us, if I can use that word, on a daily basis. Mr. Witzel, you're beginning your first term as president of the local NAACP, and you see where we find ourselves on the local level. What are some of the things you would like to see as we move forward from the local standpoint?
Well, I'd like to see more members, a lot more members. I'd like to see people come together more because, like Bishop was saying, they have that perception of the NAACP, some negative, some positive. But now it seems seems to be people are coming together, slowly but surely. They're getting there. Since I became president, I've seen a lot more younger people coming together, but it's still a challenge. The guys like Mr. Cunningham, and Bishop, and Mr. Johnson, they're getting older for the fight. They're getting older. So we need more younger to come in and get some of this knowledge that they passed down to continue the fight. And that's the reason why that's one of the reasons I'm here. I want to continue the fight and bring the unity that the mayor talked about a lot. Every time I go in his office, he's talking about unity and building bridges. He always talked about that. So I take that and incorporate it into what I would like to see happen and go from there.
Right. Bishop?
Well, when I look at the 6 years that I served on the city council, and he and I, the mayor and I came in at the same time, and all the things that we've done for this city to improve this city, I'm very proud of every year that I served with him because of the fact that we made some changes. People didn't like the changes that were made when they were first made, but now they're loving it. We have added parks, we've added different activities to do in the city in a different way. And I must say, I have to give the mayor credit. The mayor has been very, very, very supportive of the NAACP in this community. And I thank him for that effort that he's put forward. And I just hope that as his tenure ends, that the corporation does not end in the city. Because it's very much needed.
Well, Tim, that's where I think it's really important for the community to step up.
Yes.
And to take this mantle of unity. Even the motto of the state of Kentucky is united we stand, divided we fall. And we have to understand that in minority issues, our strength is in our unity. When we can come together around an issue and as a community address that. And I applaud Raul and John for the tremendous work that they've done all of these years in representing people all over this state who otherwise may not have a voice. Because they were bringing unity, the strength of the NAACP or the strength of the Human Rights Commission to bear on issues when people felt like they were all alone. And so now it's important for the community of Madisonville, and I think we have a great community. We do have more unity in Madisonville than some other communities around us, and I thank God for that. It's been something we've tried to focus on and to do on purpose. But now it's up to the community to pick up the mantle of this, and this night of unity, I hope, is just going to be the catalyst. It's going to be the beginning. And I hope people will get involved with the local chapter of the NAACP. Because again, they're giving a voice and they're bringing unity to those who have found themselves in a situation where they feel like they're being attacked or they feel like they're all alone. And we've got to have that united front. We've got to stand together. And again, and the community coming together will only put pressure on future city governments to continue to progress and build on the small foundation that we've laid. But we've started, and now it's time to build upon that and to continue to move forward in that as a community.
Right, and it's all about building foundations and building from those foundations that are set for us. The NAACP, as Bishop was giving a little history of that, has a stern foundation, and there is a need with the issues that face us today for the NAACP to be I think, a vital voice for discrimination, whether it's coming from Washington on down, to speak out. John, your thoughts?
Well, you've heard me say it several times. One of our favorite sayings in the NAACP is it's the oldest, the largest, the baddest, the boldest, the most cussed and discussed civil rights organization in America. It's been around since 1909, so there's nothing new about the NAACP as an institution. America is great because of many institutions, but one of the institutions that's helped make America great has been the NAACP. We have chapters. Raul's now a member of our national board, but they have chapters all across this nation, in every state in this nation, chapters in other countries. But it's been a force for good, decency in our nation for some time, and continues to be the largest civil rights organization in the nation. I just think that when we talk about the need for the involvement of younger people, we also ought to point out that we have the largest youth contingency of any civil rights organization in the nation. Over 500 youth and college groups around the nation are part of the NAACP, and we have young people involved in the NAACP in Kentucky. And Mr. President, I commend you for reaching out to younger people and trying to get them engaged and involved. We ought not forget the shoulders that we stand on. So many people, I say often, laid down and made bridges of their bodies so that we might cross over to better opportunities into a new world. And we ought not forget from whence we come, and that we continue to build and have strong shoulders for those who come after us.
True. Wow. Here in the state of Kentucky, you're all across the state fighting, up in Frankfort fighting for civil rights, as we see through education and some of the things that are somewhat being tore down.
NAACP has now expanded into justice, environmental justice. When you think of the NAACP, most people just think of racial discrimination. We're now into the area of environmental justice. What can be done to benefit coal-producing areas, and what can benefit inner city for clean air, for clean water? It's all a part of justice. Not only do we continue to fight racial discrimination, but we have some problems in education. Achievement gaps have got to be lowered. How do we teach has got to be reevaluated. So, it's a whole process that goes the gamut of society for the NAACP. Discrimination, yes. Justice, yes.
And there's a need, of course, to, especially here in this community, for more African American teachers, more minority teachers, more African Americans on school boards and in leadership positions when it comes to the educational system here. So there's still much to be done, Brother Tim, in this area.
Yes, the education situation as far as African American being in the school system is very bad. I've visited a few schools and I've seen one or two. And it seems to me that the teachers, they can't get enough African American teachers to come here. And their reason is more or less than the pay. They don't want to come because of the pay. The pay is low. They don't want to come because there's nothing for them to do. Stuff like that. But the education, the people who are involved in the school system, it seems to me, and I may be wrong and maybe stepping a little bit far out to the right, but it seems to me that they don't want African Americans in these positions. We talk about the gap, closing the gap. If you can't get the teachers to come in, at least put some workers, African American workers, in other positions, then they have a chance to move up where our kids will see our faces. And that should help them as well close the gap in some areas. But we can't do it in all areas.
The shortage of teachers, though, is not a problem just in Madisonville. It's a national problem. There's a shortage across the country. And we have to try to get more African Americans to go into the teaching profession.
But we also have to hold our school board members
Yes.
accountable
Yes.
to aggressively recruit and to encourage and create welcoming atmospheres. Talk about recruiting of minority teachers, and I remember being in a discussion one time and they asked them if they'd been to any of the historically black colleges. Well, no, we haven't even considered that. Well, if you want to find black teachers, a logical place might be to look at some historically African American. That's not to say that you have to go only to HBCUs, but that's a logical place. But there is a need to have a mindset and an understanding among the people we elect to public office, including our school boards, that they are committed to a more diverse faculty, a more diverse school system.
Well, again, I think that again comes back to what you're saying there is when we can draw the community together to hold elected officials accountable.
Yes.
That unity from the community will bring about change. And as we speak with one voice and saying these are issues that are important to us. To me, and again, I've only been in government for 8 years, but it seems to me a real front in the civil rights movement is the education gap and the economic development gap. And we're only going to bridge those by drawing more minorities into higher education, by getting them to get a college education and then go into fields such as teaching. It could either be an upward spiral or a downward spiral. And again, holding our elected officials responsible for that. I do believe that our local school board has taken some good steps just recently with the position they put Robert Carter into after he left working with our police department for many years. He retired from our police department, and they put him in a diversity position there with the Board of Education. And he's a strong voice for civil rights. And so I was really proud of them for doing that. And I think it's a step, maybe a small step, but it's a step in the right direction. And we need more of that so we can have a greater diversity, so that people do, I guess they are encouraged when they see teachers that look like them.
Yes.
And teachers that have some shared experiences with them. I think it's easy for folks like myself who grew up in a community to think, well, I don't have a hard time, so nobody else does either. But when you pull back the cover just a little bit, even in a small community like Madisonville, you see that there's a gap. And the only way we're going to bridge that is education and economic development. It's not enough to qualify for a job if you can't get to the job. It's not enough to be able to, as I guess Martin Luther King said, to be able to sit at a counter in a restaurant if you can't afford the meal.
Yes.
And so as a community, this unity that we're talking about I think is going to be the real key. When we all come together and we say enough is enough.
Well,
And we want to see everybody move forward.
I think it's important, Tim, that we also look at the fact that we have more in common as a people than we have that divides us. And if we aren't careful, we let various segments of society to divide us and to put us in boxes and to suggest that if you move up, that means I can't move up. That's Kentucky is the 4th poorest state in the nation, only behind Mississippi, New Mexico, and Louisiana, I believe it is. 4th poorest state in the nation. That crosses across racial lines. My friends in eastern Kentucky and some over in western, the various predominantly white communities suffer poverty just as urban young people suffer poverty in the cities. And we ought to be concerned with employment opportunities coming in, job training programs that are taking place, whether our elected officials are investing in the communities and bringing industry in and bringing employment opportunities and training opportunities. All of those things we have in common. We need to look at a common bond that brings us together to make the world a better place, our state, our communities a better place, and not allow ourselves to be divided by those who would divide us on nonsense issues.
And we're going to go into, because I think this is what the state meeting is going to be talking about, a lot of these issues that we face. Bishop.
On the note of something that John said earlier, of the education system here, not looking for going to minority schools to find minority teachers. It's something that I've told them for years that they needed to do. The one thing that I've seen here is you have a group that it's almost like they're frightened to try to hire minorities. And when they've had minorities come in and hire in, there's one young lady that was a special ed teacher. She was 2 days away from having her tenure. This person that came in as a new principal at the school was instructed to let her go. And when he let her go, felt so bad about it, he ended up quitting the school system. Because he felt bad about letting her go. Now, I'll say this publicly. I urged that person to file a lawsuit against them. They wouldn't do it. But that's what you deal with in some communities. Because my thing is, they had never really made an effort to go to Kentucky State to look for a teacher. They want to go to ISU in Indiana and different other places like that, instead of looking at schools right here in Kentucky where they can find a teacher.
So there's a need. There is a need out there that we're going to have to reach out to do more. And the state NAACP meeting here, Ralph, will be discussing a lot of these issues and then some as we go forward.
Yes, we will. We have to.
Absolutely.
I think one of the issues that comes to mind, we will discuss Medicaid. We will discuss the administration's proposals. We will discuss education. We have a situation now with the state attempting to take over the Louisville public schools. That will be discussed. We will have some labor issues to discuss. We will have some pension issues to discuss. They're all on the agenda. We will enact some resolutions that we will advise the public of our opinions of what should or should not be. So that would be important.
That will be important.
That's the bulwark or the backbone of why we meet.
Right. And we're going to kick off this event with C.C. Winans. Mayor, this is something I know that you're really proud of being able to host here in the city of Madisonville on Friday evening. They're calling it a night of unity. Thousands are expected to fill our Madisonville City Park. We're going to put on the screen the flyer so that you can see it. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect on kickoff night.
Well, I tell you what, we're so excited to have C.C. Winans coming on September the 21st, 6 p.m. at City Park. It's going to be a great night. C.C. Winans is the best-selling female gospel artist of all time. So that's pretty awesome to have her come to Madisonville. Just a little bit of insight. We have a budget that goes for all of our events, and we've done a lot of events this year. We just had the Commodores last weekend, but we've done a lot of events here in Madisonville. We were bumping up against our budget. And when we were looking at the state NAACP conference coming to Madisonville, I said, you know who I want? I want to have C.C. Winans. First of all, I love her music. I love her spirit. I want to have C.C. Winans come and be a part. I want to make this part of the state NAACP conference. And they said, well, this is the amount of money you have to work with. And so we called, and her fee was considerably more than the money we had to work with. And so they said, you know, it's just not going to happen. Who's your second choice? I said, C.C. Winans. I said, would you call C.C. back and tell her that this is going to be part of the Kentucky State NAACP conference and a night of unity for our city? And you know what? She accepted about half of her normal fee so that she could come and be a part of it. And I think that speaks volumes of who she is and how much she values this opportunity. And so, again, just a little bit of insight there. But it's going to be a great night. CC Winans it's going to be at City Park, and it's open to free and open to the public, and we invite everybody to come and be a part of it. We'll have our food vendors, and we'll have the inflatables. It'll be just like any other concert event that we've held out there at City Park, and so come and be a part of it. And also to show our support for the State NAACP Conference, for the Human Rights Commission, for the Hopkins County NAACP. It's going to be a night where we all come together and really affect change. You know, Jesus, when we look at the Bible, you know, everybody says the Lord's Prayer is, "Our Father who art in heaven." That's the church's prayer. Jesus' prayer was found in John chapter 17. It says, "Lord, that they may be one as you and I are one." Unity. You know, in the Old Testament it says how good and how pleasant it is for the brethren to dwell together in unity, because that brings a commanded blessing from God. And if we want Madisonville to continue to move forward, I encourage everybody, come and be a part of this night. Come and bring your children and let them see what the future can be when we come together as a community.
Absolutely.
We also have a community choir that's going to be performing that night. Either 2 to 3 songs on that night. And it's a mixture of church people from all the churches in Hopkins County. So,
Great.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing you.
Well, again, we're so honored to have you guys come.
One of the unique things about that event, Tim, is that the human rights, civil rights movement is an outgrowth of the church. And so to start off with a religious formatted service, somebody like C.C. Winans is an uplift to the community, to the organization. But we ought to never forget from whence we came.
That's right.
And there are ministers on this panel. I'm not one of them. But let me just say to you that we grew from our experience in the church. It was by and large ministers in the church who provided leadership to civil rights organizations because they were free.
Yeah.
They were paid by their congregation. They didn't have to go meet the man and take the chance of losing their jobs and what have you. But ministers and leaders in the faith-based community that would undergird it and continue to undergird the civil rights movement. So it's great that you're starting off in that.
It is.
in that vein.
Because not only did we start in the church, we didn't have a place to meet. It was in the church. So therefore, this beginning of the conference with C.C. Winan is important. The other, our theme will be End Hate. Vote. And voter registration and get out the vote will be an important, very important aspect that we will be dealing with on Saturday.
What are some of the other activities that will be taking place between the 21st and 23rd?
We will have our Freedom Fund banquet that Saturday evening. We will be honoring some legislators who will be retiring after combined 50 years of service. There will be a luncheon that afternoon, and I'm not sure who the speaker will be, but one of the persons we have invited to bring greetings is the newly appointed city manager of Hopkinsville, who is African American, and he will be the first African American to be a city manager over in Hopkinsville. And he will bring us greetings at the luncheon.
Right.
We also say that on Friday, prior to the concert starting, we'll be at the clubhouse for our soul food dinner. And anybody that wants to come, you're in for a treat. $15 a ticket.
This will be at the City Park Clubhouse.
City Park Clubhouse.
All this is taking place at the Madisonville City Park, which is located on Park Avenue here in the city of Madisonville. And we encourage you to put that in your GPS to find how to get there. Mayor, parking. How will we deal with parking?
Just as we did with any other event. We have a lot of parking. At the David Crowder concert, we had over 10,000 people come to that concert. And if we run out of room parking them in the park, we have an arrangement with Don Urshig, who owns the mall, for us to use the south end of the mall and to use our transit system to bring folks in. So we have plenty of adequate parking. If we have 10,000, all you'll see is a big smile on my face.
Mine too.
That's right. That's right.
A couple of things. Number one, a lot of people don't know this, but Mr. John Johnson was the youngest state president in the NAACP at one time. That's what got him to the national office, because he worked so hard to bring about change in this state. He did so much to make things better in this state for everybody, and he has to be commended for that. The other thing is, I thank God for the mayor. When we were setting up the conference here, he's the one that proposed to bring in CC1. And I told him, I said, I don't have that authority to give him. I called Raul, and Raul talked with him, and it came about that. That's what happened. So I thank him for his leadership.
It's an honor. It's an honor to get to host it second year in a row, and I think it's a blessing to Madisonville to have you guys come.
Well, we're looking forward to coming, and you were wonderful last time we were here, and you're going to be wonderful this time, and we'll appreciate it in the next year.
Soul food dinner starts at 3.
Starts at 3.
4.
You change it to 4. 4 to what? 5?
To about quarter till 6.
Yeah,
She goes on at 6.
the concert starts at 6.
Make sure that's
All right, all right. Tim, a lot of work's going into this. Bringing people together, making, you're going into your first term and you've got this big event going on. This should make you lose even more hair.
I don't know why, because he's making me work like a
Well, but that's also part of the training.
Absolutely.
And we're glad that have him on board, and we look forward to continuing to work with him. We're very appreciative at the state level for the leadership and the participation of the Madisonville branch. You recently had the death of their treasurer, Miss Clara,
Smith.
who will be missed.
Yes. Very devoted to the
Very
NAACP.
devoted. But we're looking forward to being here. We're looking forward to the Freedom Fund banquet, which will be over in Arlington at Mount Zion. So you're incorporating all areas of the county in the convention, and it should be a great convention.
Should be. So we're excited about this. Tim, you ready to say something?
No, I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
You know, because it's going, like you said, it's going to be a great time for the community. And the word I'm getting out on the streets and all over, it's going to be a lot of people. They are coming. I mean, people who are not members is trying to be members. And then you have some that are not members, they coming anyway. So,
I got some people from Glasgow that belong to my organization. I'm the bishop over them. They're coming.
Well, great. And we will be doing voter registration.
exactly.
We'll be there, encourage everyone to register and to vote.
Right.
We're nonpartisan, but we want everyone to register and vote.
Right.
And the unique thing between the mayor and our friendship, the mayor's a Republican. I'm a staunch Democrat. But we get along as brothers in the Lord. I go to his church Sunday morning, sometime before my church starts, I'll go out to his church to visit him. That's how close our relationship is.
Great.
I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
The mayor always had an open door policy. You can go down there and talk to him about anything, and he would try to put you on the right path. So, thank you.
Well, it's been an honor. And again, you know, the things that, when you look at Bishop and I serving on the council for 6 years together, you know, I told him several times, I think the word I used was, you know, I think God brought us together for such a time as this. Because when you do look at all of the difficulty that we see at the national level and at the state level, to overcome those obstacles, it starts one community at a time. And so I hope the friendship that you and I have developed and continue to grow and continue to move forward in the relationship with Madisonville and the state NAACP conference, I hope that it just continues to grow. To quote a famous Republican, Ronald Reagan, he always talked about America being a shining city on a hill that other countries would look to and wish they were like. And really in areas of equality and relationships, that's what I want Madisonville to be. I want us to be a beacon to this whole region where people say, you know what, they've got it right, and maybe we can learn something from the relationships there and build on that. Take what we've started and grow and take the unity, this night of unity. Again, I hope it's a catalyst for not only Madisonville but for this whole region that gets people thinking about issues that we normally don't face. Coming again from my upbringing in Seabury and then living in Madisonville, it's easy to get to fall victim to this thinking that if everything's okay with me, then everything must be okay with everybody else. I think one of the big issues that you deal with, Mr. Johnson, is housing equality. And because I live in a nice house and my utility bills, are paid and there's food in the refrigerator, then it's easy for me sometimes to think, well, that's how everybody has it. But we have to understand that issues of discrimination in housing are still present with us. And we have to, as a community, overcome those things if we're ever going to truly grow and reach our potential. The fact that the state of Kentucky is the 4th poorest state in the nation, we could look at that as a negative, and in large part it is, but we could also look at the potential that we have if we tap into every citizen's opportunity, if we tap into every person's potential, irregardless of their color, irregardless of their background, irregardless of their political views, and we come together, we could grow as a state.
That's right.
And so we have to look at the positive. Bobby Kennedy said, some people look at what is and say, why?
I dream of things.
And I dream of things that can be and say, why not?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking at, and that's my real hope that we, as a community, take out of this NAACP conference, is we say, why not? Why can't we have more unity? Why can't we have more equality? Why can't we have better representation at all levels in our teachers and in our government and in every aspect of it, of the whole community? And we've tried to do that with our police department. As I was in the office for 8 years, we looked at the numbers. We made sure that there wasn't a disproportionate amount of traffic stops for minorities or arrests for minorities. We made sure that the same percentages of the community were reflected in those things, that we weren't missing the mark as a police department. And I appreciate the efforts of all of the wonderful men and women of the Madisonville Police Department. Because, again, we have to be aware of those things so we don't find ourselves on the wrong side of an issue. And so, again, it takes a concerted effort. It takes a conscious effort. It takes good people of all races to make this happen. Martin Luther King said the only thing that needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And so I'm calling out to the folks that are like me, that are Republican. I'm calling out to the folks that haven't ever felt like they've been on the wrong side of an issue, to come and let's stand together. Because united we stand, divided we fall.
Right. Tim, just before you close out, I want to just take a moment to say thank you for having us here.
Yes, sir.
Our state and certainly this community is indebted to you for your leadership, for the things that you promote on your show, for the activities you're engaged in. I know you're one of the favorite sons of this community, but Tim also serves as a member of our Commission on Human Rights, has served there for several years, and is a distinguished representative for this first Supreme Court district of this state, and we are honored to have you as a part. We want you to know that we think a lot of you.
Appreciate your service.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
yes, yes.
Thank you. We're excited, and we're appreciative of all of these gentlemen that have joined us for this program this evening. And we do want to say, toward the end of the year, we're going to be doing a one-on-one conversation as the mayor leaves office at the end of the year, and we're going to be doing a one-on-one conversation to recap his tenure as mayor of the city of Madisonville, bring others on that lives he have affected through his leadership, and it's going to be a great program. So we're looking forward to being able to do that and thank him for his service. And I'm getting a little emotional because we really appreciate the work the mayor has done supporting this program as well. It means a lot. And supporting the community of Madisonville and Hopkins County. Thank you, Mayor. Thank each of you, and we continue to look forward to great things. And we're looking forward to C.C. Winans.
That's right.
Kicking off the state NAACP meeting, which is September the 21st through the 23rd. The September the 21st, the concert begins at 6 p.m.
At City Park.
at the Madisonville City Park, located on Park Avenue. So we encourage you to come early, get a good seat, bring your lawn chairs, whatever, enjoy the concert. It's going to be, I think she's going to be singing for about 90 minutes. So it'll be a long concert, one that you'll certainly enjoy. You'll be blessed.
Yes, and they can look it up on the web at www.madisonvilleky.us, or they can call City Hall at 270-824-2100 for more information.
Got it. And we'll put that on the screen for you to see as well. We've been joined today by Mr. Ralph Cunningham, who is the state president of the NAACP in Commonwealth of Kentucky. John J. Johnson, executive director of the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights out of Louisville, Kentucky. None other than, to my far right here, Bishop Raymond Marion, who is the first vice president of the Madisonville-Hopkins County NAACP. Mr. Tim Witzel, president of the Madisonville-Hopkins County NAACP. And the Honorable Mayor David Jackson, still mayor of the best town on earth. Join us for another edition of Focus with Tim Thomas. We look forward to seeing you at our next program. And by all means, keep sharing the dream.